Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes this day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now, if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These
Oh, wrong camera. I hate when it does this. My phone got weird. Hold on. Let's see if we can get my phone get going here. Here we go. I had it all set up, but every once in a while, oh, I don't like the yellow. Let me see if I could change the fade level here. Let's see. Okay, that's too much. Well, I've kind of got like a yellow halo. Well, I guess I'll just have a yellow halo. Ugh. Okay, here we go. No, I'm fading right there. Okay, that's gonna have to be good enough. How are you guys doing? Along the bottom is my, support stuff. So patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty if you enjoy this type of content. This is a bit of a departure from me, and I could see I need to turn down that fade level a little. There we go. As I normally, deal with Libertarian Party stuff. However, I've been watching HBO, The Anarchists. I just got done watching it for this evening, a half an hour ago. So it's all fresh on my mind, and we're going to go over it. Again, all super chats matter, and I do hope to see you in comments, even though I don't have comments up on the screen today, because it would distract. Excuse me. Need some dew. It would distract from my beautiful anarchist background. All right, if you haven't watched part 1, I would highly suggest it, because I'm not going to repeat everything I said in part 1. I'm going to build upon it for part 2. I liked part 2 a lot better, and I expected to like it a lot worse. I thought part 1 would be the best one, And I really liked part 2. And it's not necessarily because I think it's this great advertisement for anarchy, though I do think it's going to open the eyes of some normies. But I just enjoyed it in general better as just entertainment, as a person watching something on TV. But I'll get into, because I can't entirely pull myself out as a disinterested party, because I know some of these people and I obviously know the subject matter, and it's obviously something very near and dear to me. There's a lot of critiques I have about the way the subject matter is handled that I dealt with in episode 1 that I'm not going to repeat here. This episode got a lot more into the personalities. And I could just tell you, while I was sitting here watching it with my husband, and he got my running commentary the whole time, I was like, especially when the guy got up and was like, F the state. I'm like, oh. And screw the troops. And like, I was like, I could just, now listen, I love the F the state one. I'm not a big fan. To be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of Larkin Rose up there going, you know, screw the troops or whatever he said. I kind of view it as a but for the grace of God, there go I type thing. You know, the men and women in the service, a lot of them are very deceived by the state, and they've been brainwashed. I'd prefer to take my ire out on the state and not on the people. And that's not saying that, you know, when our military goes overseas, they don't do terrible things. But as my pastor likes to say, or a former pastor, it doesn't make it right, but it makes it understandable. So I do think we're better off, you know, directing our ire at the state and not at fellow victims of the state. So when that was said in the documentary, I cringed. F the state, I'm fine with. But then I said to Wayne, I'm like, Wayne, oh, I could just imagine Joe Normie sitting at home watching this with his bear. Martha, did you see this? Sorry, that was a really bad hillbilly accent. Oh, I'm sure that's somehow racist. But anyway, I'm just picturing Joe Middle America just sitting there going, oh, look, my Mountain Dew because I have a green screen. Oh, well, I'm not, I drink green soda. You know, him just going, check out these anarchists, honey. But yeah, I wasn't a big fan of one of those statements. The other one I was fine with. But I would love to be a fly in the wall and somebody who's never heard these things before. Now, here's where I'm going to get a little uncomfortable in my critique. This is my tribe. I don't personally know all of these people. And I know that documentarians can frame a story in a way that makes heroes and zeros. Like if you watch any reality TV, you know that the producers can set it up. Like I used to watch things like America's Next Top Model and those types of shows. And there was always the girl that everybody hates in the house. But if you watch interviews with her later, you realize that it was a narrative spun by the producers, and this isn't really that person. So when you're video editing, I mean, you've got a lot of freedom to construct things the way you'd like them to be seen. And for me, there was a couple people that I don't know personally that just came off really cringe or dislikable. But I don't know them. So I'm kind of like, I don't want to say things about people I don't know, but I also want to review the show. So I have to tell you that I'm viewing the people almost as characters created by the producers, and I don't mean to imply anything about them personally because I don't know them. I can only comment on how they're coming across through the TV screen. And I have to be honest about that. But again, I want to say, I don't know these people. They could be the best people in the world. Okay, so now that I've given all those disclaimers, so there was someone named Polly or Paul that was featured a lot. And the quotes that they used made him seem really, really like very pretentious. And if it's not the way I would prefer anarchy to be portrayed. Now, of course, the whole point of anarchy is people are going to be individuals and express it how they wish. But I can tell you, it turned me off. I like to crush skulls and God, you know, not aggressively, like he was saying, to defend himself, but it was just very macho bluster. And I didn't appreciate that at all. And it didn't surprise me that when he got to Anarchapulco and, you know, took up residence, that he caused a lot of trouble. There was a lot of bluster and just, I can tell you the first thing I wrote down was pretentious. I'm trying to find a word that rhymes. Pretentious shtick. But the second word was another word that started with a P. That's how he came across. I don't know him. He could have a heart of gold and be the best person in the world. But showing up in Anarchapulco with a stolen Bitcoin ATM too, they never really explained if he knew it was stolen. The way it was stated at the end made it seem like he did. But the way it was stated at the beginning was that somebody else arranged for the purchase of this machine and he just said, I'll take it down there, in which case he would have no idea of its provenance. That was kind of left up in the air, but the way he came across was not good through the screen. Again, I can come across that way too. So I have some sympathy, like I said to Dave Casey before, as one asshole to another. So yeah, he came off as a bit of an asshole, but I come off sometimes as a bit of an asshole. So I have some sympathy, but I'm just being honest as to the way he was portrayed on the show, and then going down there and causing trouble, and apparently being the cause of trouble in the next episode. We'll see. Now, something that made me laugh my ass off was when Jeff Berwick was talking about how he was starting to question things when he was like, and why am I participating in this national sing-along? I've never heard the whole flag patriotic song thing described as a national sing-along. I'm taxing that. I'm definitely taxing that. That was hilarious. But then another thing he said that I really did not like, and I don't like when anyone does this, is his just categorical statement. I could see where see some of my green screen's coming through my eyes. Oh well, I've got green eyes. I can't help it. I did not like when Berwick just categorically said Jesus was an anarchist. Listen, don't bring Jesus into everything, okay? Don't mess with people's religious figures. And if the Christians are right, and I'm a Christian, God doesn't have a politics, okay? Can you please not do that? The most I'll go on to say is that you can be a good Christian and be an anarchist, but I'm not going to say Jesus was this or Jesus was that. No, Jesus was God. Let's leave that out of it, okay? Now, a lot of this show focused on Bitcoin, and you can tell that they're painting it as like the tulip frenzy of the late 2010s. And certainly there was a huge bubble that bust, but they're like making it like, isn't this a joke? I can see that coming. And while there was that huge explosion and Bitcoin hasn't gotten back there, I don't think we should be writing it off. But okay, you do you, boo-boo. And maybe I'm just reading something into the mood, but that's where I see them going. Now, the drama I did not see coming. I was like, oof, and crap, I forgot the guy's name, but it's the guy who moved from Chicago Well, he didn't move at first. He went down there for a month with his wife and stayed in that dude's house with the really deep voice. And then they went back to Chicago. She divorces him and then moves back down there because she was cheating with that guy. I was like, did not see that coming. Ooh. But of course, listen, I know there'll be people who just don't like anarchists that are going to say, see, you know, that's why anarchy can't work or something like that. Meanwhile, in almost any community or situation, there's gonna be cheaters. I mean, human's gonna human. I just didn't see that one coming. Oof. But I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. I know a lot of people don't want to say it, but I'm gonna say it. Dude, why? I'm not saying it's your fault you were cheated on. It's never your fault when you're cheated on, you know, when you weren't also a cheater. But if you think any woman's gonna be happy with supporting a man for years when you're not disabled, you know, you can work, are you surprised? You were living off your wife. Okay, it's not your fault you were cheated on, and that sucks. But you can't take advantage of a person like that. They're not going to be happy. She should have just been honest and left you and then started another relationship rather than cheating on you under your nose. But listen, any of you dudes out there, if you're being supported by your woman, I'm sorry, as a woman, I'm telling you, most women are not going to be happy with that situation. Let's just leave it that way. Unless, again, you were injured, you're disabled, something happened. But if you're an able-bodied man and you can work, your ass better work. I ain't going to be supporting your ass. Just saying, disagree with me all you want. Now, where I'm going to spend the remainder of the time. So all that little drama was cool. You know. I mean, cool is the wrong word. Cool isn't building, cool is like totally the wrong word. Cool isn't building you into it. You becoming invested. Like if I'm sitting here saying all this stuff, like I got invested. And then that's good documentary making. But you can see the drama and the tension they're building. So now there's a couple other people that have already had people get on my case because I said something unflattering last time. Again, I can only judge what I'm seeing on the screen. I don't know these people. If I knew them, they could end up being my best friends in the world, and I could think that they were totally done ugly by this documentary. But it's now the story with the conflict between Lily and John and the Freemans and Jeff Berwick. Lily does not come across good, where Ms. Freeman does. So if you're just this kind of juxtaposition of these two women, one comes across as like very likable, and the other one comes across as jealous and not liking that they weren't the center of attention. I'm sorry, that's my honest assessment. And again, maybe it's a takes one to know one, because people say that about me. Again, I'm being very self-deprecating here because I understand the criticisms. But the whole thing with the anarcho-forco really just seemed like Lily and John weren't happy that they weren't in charge, and the Freemans were. Now again, the Freemans could be the biggest assholes in the world. I'm just saying that's not the way they come across on the show. On the show, it seemed like really sour grapes on Lily and John's part. And a lot of ungratefulness as well. I'm sorry, that's my honest assessment. But they had also said something that kind of drives me crazy, and this could just be because we're different kinds of, all of us may be anarcho-capitalists, but there's even different varieties within anarcho-capitalism. And it could just be that I'm a different kind of ANCAP. Look to the lobster. Hierarchies are inevitable. I don't believe that voluntarism, anarcho-capitalism means that there are no hierarchies. There are natural hierarchies. That's life. It's the way it is. So being upset that the Freemans were directors or managers or in charge of an anarcho-polco, most movements, especially a recurring conference year after year, it's not going to be successful if there isn't somebody who takes charge. It's the tragedy of the commons, just in organizational form. And 1 year, 2 year, the whole idea of we'll provide the space and you get your own sponsors and this will just kind of magically come together year after year. Things don't happen that way. Not in events. They can in certain systems where there's a continuous feedback loop of everyone's rational self-interest being indulged, kind of like the, iPencil type thing, but not in a conference. It might work 1 year, it might work 2 years, but that's just not the way things go. Even Burning Man has a board of directors. I just think you guys didn't like the Freemans and resented that they were in charge. What I would say is, like I say with the people who are upset with the Mises Caucus, outwork them. Do a better job if you want to run it. It seemed like a lot of sour grapes on Lily and John's part, that they thought they were these fugitives that should be more in the spotlight because they were, hardcore living the life anarchy. Sorry, something that's successful year after year, particularly again when it's not an ongoing interest, is going to have managers. And those people started this thing. You didn't. You came down and joined it. Now, I know it was only a year later, so I guess within a year you could still be considered a founder. But that whole, how can this be an anarchist conference if someone's in charge? And I'm like, those two things aren't mutually exclusive. It just might not be what you prefer. But there's nothing inherent in anarcho-capitalism that says you can't have something in which people are in charge. As long as it's voluntary and you can start your competing thing, which you tried to do, and it didn't work, and you're blaming them for it not working, but you came down there and were starting a competing thing, and then you got all mad because the other thing didn't promote your competing thing? Well, they don't have to. Now, I know there might have been some two-facedness where at first Jeff looked like he was in support of it. Maybe he was just being nice. Maybe he was just trying to keep the peace. But I can just tell you the way the documentary painted it, it left a bad taste in my mouth, that whole anarcho-forco thing. And then, like, the statement at the end, I found myself in the middle of this controversy and I didn't start it. I don't know. On the show, it kind of looked like you did. But again, the narrative is being spun by the documentarians, who might not be painting John and Lily in the best possible light. But the light they painted them in was a little bit of jealous shit stirs. That's the way it looked on my end. I would love to hear a different opinion. I would love to get to know those two. So they're brave, and they are living the anarchy life for sure. But the show, Wayne and I will look at it and like, I don't know. Like, if... Anyway, I'm curious if other people felt the same way. I'm going to be really self-honest here. A lot of times, and women will know what I'm talking about. I'm going to do a whole show on this once, at one time, in the future. That came off all weird because what I'm going to say now isn't planned. So I'm like getting my thoughts together in my head. But there's a weird, like, brutal and vicious Cold War type of vicious rivalry that happens between women. Men have no idea. See, you men, you'll go out in the parking lot and beat the shit out of each other. And then you'll go out for a drink afterwards. Women will engage in a Cold War with each other for decades. And sometimes it's one-sided. And the way it works, I call it the Highlander syndrome. There can be only one. And whenever there's a woman who's getting a lot of attention in whatever the spirit is, if you're competing for guys, it's, who's considered the hot chick. If you're in a political party, it's like, who's getting attention for this particular aspect of the movement or whatever. I've attracted a lot of hater women because it's the Highlander syndrome. And that's why I say oftentimes I get along better with men than women, because men you got to beef with. You just get it out in the open and it's over with. You're not having somebody still talking about you 10 years later on Facebook when you haven't talked to that chick in 10 years and they're still obsessed with you. Like, that's like a really distinctly woman thing. And other strong women out there, you're listening, you're going, Now, perhaps that's what I'm doing. Perhaps Lily's a very strong woman. Perhaps some kind of inner bitchiness is coming up on me and I'm like, yeah, because it's just that instinct. It's that cold, I don't know. Perhaps it's my fault. I am like owning it because I know we can be catty, man. Where is, what am I looking for here? 1 second, yeah.
Bitches.
Yeah, we can be that. We can be this too. Oh, wrong one. Where? Oh, it's here.
You salty bitch. Explain yourself.
So, maybe. Oh no, here's the one I was looking for. This explains it.
You catty bitches.
Yeah, we can be catty bitches. So maybe I'm just being a little catty. I don't know, but I'm telling you how I saw it. All right, that's really all I had on this one. I did like it. Looking forward to the next episode where apparently Polly, who's now moved in with Lily and John, is going to wreak havoc in their lives. And a murder's coming up, and from what I understood from the cliffhanger at the end, is basically it was set up so that the Freemans and the Galtmans couldn't live. Was it Galtman? John Galt something? He it's a fake name, but that's fine. So Lily and John, and then the Freemans, like there wasn't enough room in Acapulco for both of them, and somebody had to move out. And it seems like Lily and John moved away. That's the impression I'm getting. Again, I don't know either of these couples, by the way. These aren't people I know. All right. But Miss Freeman, and I'm sorry I forgot her first name. I'm not good with names. She seems like a real sweetheart. And God bless her for having a baby in a bathtub with a doula and no pain medication. She's a strong woman. Okay. And I do see questions from Oxeye. This isn't a general show about answering questions about anarchy. I do those other shows. In this one, we're talking about this series, and I'm not going to go off on rabbit trails, but I'll probably answer those sorts of questions on another show. I would also, if you're interested in answers to those, peruse back videos on my channel. I do Defenses of Anarchy a lot. And also there's a show called Why I'm an Anarchist and Why You Should Be One also that gets into that a bit. But I'm going to leave the show open for a few more minutes to see if anyone has any thoughts. Did you watch it? What did you think? Do you disagree with my assessment? And yeah, JJ said the iron rule of hierarchy. Hierarchies are inevitable. Jordan Peterson is right there. Look to the lobsters. Just look at the lobsters. Okay, I'm going to scroll up to see if there's any that I missed. Oh, Tyler says, I respect Larkin's tactic. It has a purpose in the grand scheme of things. It's a matter of taste, I think. It's just not something I particularly cared for, but, you know, I like vanilla ice cream. Other people like chocolate. I don't think it's particularly productive. Funny enough, but it could be. Again, I'm always, you know, I always say the unofficial slogan of the Libertarian Party, even though I know he's not part of the Libertarian Party, but I am, should be you do you, boo-boo. So Larkin needs to do him, boo-boo. It's just not my cup of tea, but it's kind of like the whole abortion thing we've been talking about, where I don't think running around calling people murderers is the best way to discuss this issue. I don't think running around saying screw the troops is the best way to discuss the problem with the military. But for some people that works, and for some people it'll reach some people that I can't reach. So, you know, different strokes, different methods. All right, everyone, I think that's it. These have been nice little short shows. I'm not sure what show I'm going to do tomorrow. It might be history, because it is about time to get back to that. Got the LP News sitting right here. Not really sure. I'll probably decide tomorrow. I hope you have an awesome night, and I do hope you are enjoying these. Excuse me, I drank way too much Mountain Dew. I do hope you are enjoying this this review of this series. I look forward to the rest of them. Bye-bye.
Given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business. Not